Hi, this is Matt Donegan at Challenger Stories. I'm here with Helen from Snapper Films. Snapper Films is a female-founded company. It's the fourth production company of Helen, so I'm really looking forward to this conversation because she's been in the industry, the creative industry, for more than 30 years. Snapper Films is an independent boutique creative studio, and what's really fascinating and why I'm really keen to speak to Helen is she's a collector of unicorns. Helen, start by explaining what collector of unicorns actually means.
I like people who do it differently. I like people who look at life differently. I like the mavericks. I think they fascinate me. I think you learn a lot from people who do things differently. And I've always been fascinated by, and I think within the creative industries, the directors that I'm drawn to, the work that I'm drawn to, and advertising throws up so many opportunities and is so creatively inventive about a way of doing things differently. And I find people who love doing things differently, who love approaching things from another angle, who like seeing things another way. And I think it's very interesting. Now I think they're probably challenging the ideas of what normality actually is, and does it actually exist? And is the world neurotypical or is the world neurodiverse? And what neurodiversity actually brings. And I would argue that unicorns are in a way a celebration of neurodiversity, a way of thinking differently. And I'm interested in people who think differently and the way they think and how they translate that into filmmaking. Right. And I think and people who use their brain works to colour their creativity and to put that creativity out in the world to connect people, because people need people. And I think once you use your unique way of seeing things, which will be coloured by you and your life story, and you put that out, it'll also be everyone's life story, because it will resonate, that humanness will resonate with everyone else and we can all hear it. And I think the chance to do that across different boundaries is what's really exciting. And so I've always been interested in bringing directors. My other three production companies, which were all co-founded with different partners, the first one with a director, the second one with another director, the third one with my one before this with another producer, and this one with a director who, as soon as I met her and saw her work, I had this feeling of I have to work with this woman. I have to work with this woman, because the hairs went up on the back of my neck, because the way she saw things, she was my, if you like, she was a unicorn. So it was like two unicorns coming together to found a company of collective unicorns.
Right. Okay. I love the collection of unicorns. I think that's a brilliant description.
And we have a remarkable collection of unicorns. I have, actually at Snapper, we represent several actor, writer, directors, and they are unicorns. They are very rare, but they are extraordinary. Being prepared to be vulnerable across three fronts, which is what it requires, is courageous. And actually life is all about facing your fears, finding your courage, and actually challenging behaviour and norms and ways of thinking.
Yeah, it's actually one of the vulnerability is one of the key attributes for a successful coach. So as you are aware, one of my with strings to my bows, I'm a business and executive coach, and you're trained very early to be vulnerable, because then people open up. And it's when people open up that they engage more. So you're absolutely right about that vulnerability. Tell me something about what Snapper Films does, because so I've described it as an independent boutique creative studio, but that's a kind of all-encompassing thing, and lots of.
Yes, well, I think what I was very keen to do is I believe that creativity breeds creativity. So I had specifically the other three production companies had all been mainly focused on creating advertising with a few diversions. But I think for everyone, I'm certainly at my best when any certainty that I may have is being challenged. And you get that. That's a little different. That's another way of thinking about it. And I wanted very much to create a place where we were going to create our work, as well as with advertising, you're usually executing work that other people have created. It's been created often by the advertising agency, really cleverly strategizing, working out exactly where the client is, exactly what kind of advertising is going to benefit them. They create a campaign. And if you have the right director to execute that campaign, you're lucky enough to go on that journey, it's incredibly rewarding and it's incredibly exciting. Because filmmaking is in itself one of the most, I think anyone who and I'm sure you would agree, once you're involved, we're all at our best when we're allowed to be at our most creative because we're playing, we're having fun, we're learning, we're laughing, and we're loving what we do. And that is Einstein's once said, creativity is intelligence having fun. And I think that's a really important thing to do. And I think, so I was very keen that we would be creating work, we would be generating work ourselves, as well as doing work that had been generated by the advertising agency, and also working with directors who came at it from different angles, who came at it from a different place, from different backgrounds. So you're bringing something fresh into each arena.
Yeah.
Because I think that the world has changed. I think that directors will work across, all the young directors, they'll work across every single, there's no barriers. We don't need these barriers. They'll work across every single area of moving content. And the more areas of moving content with all their very different specificities, is that a word? That they have, encourage you to think about it a different way. So one fulfills the other. So in the same way that if you're an actor, writer, director, right, each skill set that you've got in that area feeds into the other one. So I would say, and I heard a really great filmmaker say this last night, and I thought it was brilliant. He said, acting and writing are the H2O of filmmaking. And I thought that's brilliant. That makes complete sense. And of course, because we gain most, or I feel we gain most, the things I most connect to are human stories. So that's why I do what I do. I love connecting with human beings. I think we all like connecting with human beings. People need people. And we like being we're herd animals. We like being part of a tribe. So we connect together through our stories, through our shared experiences. Although our life stories may be quite different, we have a common life story in that we're all one human being on a little journey, actually looking for three things most of the time. It's sort of acceptance and love. That's what enriches our lives. It's what powers them forward. For me, it's what powers them forward. So I think the lovely thing about doing this job and what I do is that I'm very lucky to have a job that I absolutely love doing.
Yeah, you found your why, haven't you? I mean, you found your why, your purpose, and that is what drives, right?
Yes, I think that it's just that it's fired by that need to connect. I'm an identical twin, so I was incredibly lucky. I've spent my life with someone who I have been able to communicate from the time before I even entered the world, which is an extraordinary privilege to share your life on every level with someone else at that moment. And you learn so much from it, particularly if you're an identical twin. You've got a mirror and a difference. So your way of being fed information it covers everything around you. And I think, but what you're always struck by is you're always connecting. You love communication. I've filmed with identical twins, and it's not unusual. They often have their own language. They can talk to each other, and they're just used to being able to do that. And that's a luxury, because I think that for so many people, they don't have someone to try out communication with their whole life. That doesn't mean you get it right, but it is the most important skill that we ever learn. And that's one of the things that I think is really exciting about working with directors, is how they communicate that vision, how they translate that into filmmaking. And the idea with Snapper is that you translate that into filmmaking across all the boundaries. So when a client wants to communicate what their brand actually means, who their brand actually is, you need to find the right people to tell their stories, but the right way to put it in front of an audience in the way that it feels, where they're allowed to perceive it, feel it, and connect with it.
Yeah, okay. So in the very essence of it, you're a storyteller.
Yes, we're all storytellers. I mean, I think...
Exactly. And all good content tells stories. What's the story behind Snapper Films then? Why is it so important to you that Snapper Films is a success?
Because I believe in owning your dreams, because I believe in being prepared to fail, but try anyway. Because I believe that if you keep trying, something will happen. I do believe in perseverance. I think from when I was really young, I've devoured and loved stories, first of all reading them, but early memories of going to the cinema and hearing a story and watching a story come to life. I think I always found cinemas the most wonderful places to be in. You could be in another reality, in another world, but something that you could completely connect to. And it was such a fantastic learning experience on every level. You learn every time you read or hear a story, whether it's like your own or whether it's completely different to your own or where it is, you're learning about life. And that gives you tools to navigate it and a vision to see things, which makes it incredibly rich and fulfilling. So I think that what I love about creating advertising, which I kind of fell into completely by accident because my first job was as a receptionist at a film company and they made advertising. And so I started producing advertising and I fell in love with being able to make little films. Sometimes we'd make little films in 24 hours.
Yeah, yeah.
Sometimes we'd turn around films in a week, in 2 weeks, in 4 weeks. We would turn it around from inception to then. And it was incredibly exciting. It's an incredible high. You bring all these people together with all their different skill sets, all their different ways of doing it, to collaborate on one vision for a film. And it's across so many areas, and you get a chance to tell stories in glorious Technicolor. And I'm a girl who started on film. And you're telling stories for clients.
Yeah.
And they're paying you to do it. I mean, how much fun is that?
Well, it's a privilege. It's a privilege, Helen.
It is a privilege.
And it's a privilege being in a position where you can communicate and you can fulfill your why and do something.
I think it is.
That can be shared, so your why can be shared. I mean, that's a privilege. That is.
Yes, I think it is, and I think it's full of joy, and the fact that you get to do it within a community, that's really important. We are as creating a company, and this company, you're right, it was a chance to actually say, yeah, I want to make features, I want to make series. I want to own all the things I want to do. And even if I don't get to make them, I want to put our chances out there and we're going to make them. So, Joanna's developing her first feature film. She's just been writing with a writer, in fact, that she made some wonderful ads. We had enormous fun with Rob Brydon on a massive ship for P&O all over the place with this wonderful writer and brilliant, an amazing team of people having huge fun making content for P&O to really show the joy of actually being on a journey, which you are on a cruise ship. You get to see so many things and you get a different perspective. I cannot tell you how exciting it was to come into the fjords in Norway on a ship and see that writing. It was extraordinary.
Yeah. Well, look, you're on a journey yourself with Snapper Films, aren't you? That's very true. If you had the opportunity to step back in time, if you met your 18-year-old self, what would you tell her?
I would say never be frightened of making mistakes. They're the greatest tool for living your life. And in fact, I would say that if you can always find the courage to face your fears, then you won't be frightened anymore.
Yeah.
And actually, one of the things that most gets in the way of, I would say for me, don't get in your way of yourself.
Yeah.
Just have a go. Live your life. Enjoy it. You only get it once.
Yeah.
And if you get it wrong, it's not the end of the world.
No, that's right. It's.
There's no wrong and there's no right. There's just life.
Yeah.
And you just live it to the best of your abilities and have it powered and fueled by love.
Yeah. Well, it's the one thing that a lot of business owners, what happens to them is they get in their own way. They get confused with they get afraid of making mistakes. And you're right, making mistakes is what drives us all forward. No one ever learned anything by getting...
Well, I think one of the joys is that when you're 18, you're quite amazing. I felt quite stunned by how much I thought I'd known because you've been on such a steep learning curve. Yeah. But when you're my age now, you're really conscious of how much you don't know and how exciting it is to keep learning new things. And one of the joys of working in our industry is that you work with a massive range of people in every available age range. Yeah. And I learn and feel privileged to learn so much from the young that are around me because they were born in a different time. They have a different way of seeing things, and it's exciting to learn how they see things and then translate that into film.
Yeah, it is. Helen, I'd love to speak to you for a lot longer. I think we can unearth a lot more about the beauty of making films and the challenges of running a production company. I really want to find out what's going on with Snapper Films. I want to learn more about the content you produce, and I understand you're doing features, you're doing short films.
We're developing features. Yeah. We've made 10 short films. We've got 2 more that we want to make. We've got a series a story that we actually love that we want to turn into a series based on a memoir of 2 extraordinary women, which we're excited about. And we've just found a fantastic writer who's about to start which is just terrific. And as I said, we've got another series which is based on a concept which I think will be an entirely new collaboration and an entirely different way of setting about it. And in itself will be another unicorn. And as I said, I love collecting them.
So, Helen, collector of unicorns, founder of an amazing production company. It's very inspiring. Snapper Films, absolutely fantastic. Let's keep in contact, Helen. I want to learn out more and more about your business, more and more what Snapper Films is doing. Thank you very much.
Well, I have to say thank you very much. It's an absolute pleasure to meet you. I'm afraid I didn't stick to the script and I didn't use really short answers, and that's a skill that I have to learn to master. And it seems to be a bit of a life journey.
Well, next time we speak, I'll give you another couple of tips. So look, let's speak again. Thank you, Helen. I'll speak to you again very soon. Thank you. Bye. Bye. Bye.